Hey everyone, Jacob Morgan here, and I wanted to talk about 3 things to stop doing in 2019 to kill your employee experience. So 3 things that you and your organization can stop doing right now that really helps kill the employee experience for the people who work there. Now, there are many, many more things than the 3 that I'm going to talk about now, but these are the 3 that keep coming up all the time, at least from what I see inside of organizations. So the top 3 things that I wish organizations would stop doing in 2019. Number 1, stop just focusing on perks. Number 2, stop promoting the wrong people. And number 3, stop making a very dangerous assumption. So let's start off with number 1 here, which is stop just focusing on perks. This doesn't mean that perks are bad, but a lot of organizations are starting to view investing in perks as a core strategy, which doesn't make any sense. And they're starting to think of like free food and a hot yoga, and let's give people scooters, and let's build a slide that goes from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor. Those things are all fine and wonderful. They're not going to create a better employee experience in the long run for your people, because what happens, we get used to these things, we adapt to these things, and unfortunately, we end up just staying with your organization just because of the things that we get, not because of anything that's more meaningful. So stop just investing in perks and stop viewing that as a core strategy. Instead, focus on changing the core workplace practices around your people, and then maybe you can sprinkle in some perks on top of that. Perks alone, not going to solve any of the problems and challenges inside of your company. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, stop promoting the wrong people. If you think about how most promotions work inside of an organization, and it has been like this for decades. I remember when I interned at Morgan Stanley, probably 15 years ago, it was like this there as well. Usually what happens is we take individuals who are very good at bringing in the most amount of money. They close the most deals, they bring in the most cash, and then as a reward, what we do is we take those individuals and say, hey, guess what? You closed a big deal, you brought in a lot of money, and because of that, we are going to promote you, and now you're going to manage other people. Now, you might think about that and realize that just because you bring in a lot of money, there's no correlation between that as a skill versus leading and managing other people. Absolutely none. You can still be a fantastic individual contributor and bring in a lot of money, but just because you do that doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you're going to be great at motivating and engaging and inspiring people. So I think that is the wrong type of person to promote inside of your company. The right type of person to promote inside of your company is somebody who is a people person, somebody who's good at the engaging, the empowering aspects, motivating others. Of course, you want somebody who is also business savvy, somebody who understands how the organization works, somebody who can still deliver on things. But it's not purely just about bringing in the most amount of money. You need to promote people who possess those human skills, those human abilities to motivate and engage and empower and inspire others. That is the right type of person to promote. And in most organizations, what we do is we give people this kind of leadership training, right? So you bring in a lot of money and then we say, hey, now we want you to go through leadership training. Instead, why don't we take people who are already good at leading and then give them the typical management training? You can teach people how to manage a P&L. You can teach people how to delegate. You can teach people how to make decisions more effectively. You can teach those types of things. But if you already have individuals who possess those human skills, that, in my opinion, is much, much harder to teach. So I would rather promote those people and then say, now we're going to give you the typical management training stuff. So again, promote people who possess more of those human skills, not just the ones who bring in the most amount of money. The third thing that I wish organizations would stop doing in 2019 is assuming that the people who work there need to work there. I feel like there's this big mentality amongst executives and organizations that when you hire somebody, you're doing them a favor. And that's the mentality that we've had for many decades. In other words, we have this assumption that we're helping other people. We're doing them a favor by bringing them in. They had to convince us why they should work for our company. And we said, you know what, we'll allow you to work here. And that is the wrong assumption to have. Instead, we need to assume that as organizations, as business leaders, we constantly need to justify and help employees feel like they should be a part of our organization, like they belong there. Because I think more of the power, more of the voice is on the side of the employee. So don't assume people need to work for your organization. Instead, you need to assume that you need to create an organization where people actually want to show up to work. Very different way for us to think about it. Again, don't assume people need to be there. Instead, assume that you need to create an environment where people want to be there. Now, if your organization and if other organizations around the world can focus on just these three things for 2019, I think we will see dramatic improvement in organizations around the world. So, can you do these three things? Can you stop just focusing on perks and instead focus on changing core workplace practices? Can you stop promoting the wrong people who just bring in the most amount of money and instead focus on promoting the people with human skills? And can you stop assuming that everybody who works inside of your organization needs to be there? And can you focus on actually creating an organization where people want to be there? Again, I don't know if you can do it. I don't know if organizations can do it. But if I could pick three things for organizations to stop doing in 2019 to kill the employee experience, those would be my three things. Curious to hear what you think. Leave me a comment below. If you have other suggestions, I would love to hear from you, but these are the common things that I see all the time. If you like these types of videos, of course, I encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll be creating many more of these in the future. All right, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.